Hello, my fabulous subscribers. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Flo with Go With The Flow. And if you're new here, just know that you are fabulous too. And I am so glad to have you join me today. Now, I'm super excited because I've just recently published a new book called Pass This Test Before You Walk Down the Aisle. And I'm even more excited to dive into it with you over the next coming weeks. But first, let me remind you that I also write songs and have produced multiple albums under the name Battle Sync. In fact, YouTube created a channel called Battle Sync Topic for my music, and I'll paste the link in the description below. I strongly urge you to check out the marriage album I created specifically for this book. So it's for people who are about to get married or are already married. Please let me know in the comments if you enjoy my music. I'd love to hear from you.
With the flow 504, bringing you life content. Please like and subscribe so you can keep up with the flow of life. Know what's trending today. Get some motivation, or just relax and enjoy the video.
Now back to today's video. We are going to go over chapter 1. So chapter 1 of Pass This Test is basically just talking about the myths of marriage. And I am so excited to kick things off with you. So, all right. Let's talk about the beginning of your marriage journey. So chapter 1 is all about dispelling those myths that we've been taught about marriage. It's funny how people walk into marriage with these fairy tale expectations only to be hit with reality later on. So trust me, I've been married for almost 25 years now, and what I've learned is that marriage isn't some magical fairy tale. It's a partnership that requires work, definitely work, and a lot of understanding. I always say the two main things you need for marriage besides love are respect, communication. Respect and communication. You have to have those two things, all right? So today we're going to break down the most common myths about marriage. So because the sooner we debunk these myths, the better prepared you'll be for a healthy, long-lasting relationship. So let's dive into each one. The first myth, happily ever after. So the first myth we're going to tackle is the big one. The one we've all heard since we were kids, that happily ever after, when you get married, everything is just roses, right? We grew up watching movies where the prince and the princess ride off into the sunset together, and everything is just perfect from then on, right? Well, the reality, it is not that simple, my friends. It is not that simple. Marriage isn't the end of the story. Trust me, it's just the beginning of a new chapter. Yes, love is beautiful and it is exciting, but it doesn't stay in the honeymoon phase forever. Over time, every relationship will face its challenges, whether it's financial stress, health issues, or just the natural ebb and flow of two people living together. Those bumps in the road don't mean your marriage is failing, they're normal. What matters is how you and your partner work together to overcome them. So, myth number 2. You have to marry a rich man to be happy, right? I don't know. Now let's move on to another myth that I am sure you have heard. Yeah, we've all heard that one. You do have to marry somebody rich if you want to be happy, you need security. Well, this one might hit home for some of you, but listen, money is very important. Yes, it is. I'm not saying that it's not. Financial stability can definitely ease the stresses of life, but it does not guarantee happiness. Trust me, money can't buy emotional connection, respect, or the deep bond that makes a marriage last. In fact, studies show that after your basic needs are met, More money doesn't add much to your happiness. What truly makes a difference in marriage is emotional intimacy, shared values, and mutual respect. You could marry the richest man in the world, but if there's no emotional connection, that marriage will struggle. So don't focus solely on wealth. Focus on building a strong relationship. The next myth. You have to marry your soulmate. So next up, we have the myth of the soulmate. Well, the idea that there's one perfect person just out there for you sounds so romantic and idealistic. We all would love to have that one soulmate that's just there waiting for us, and they find us or we find them and we find each other. But real life isn't quite like that. There isn't just one person for you. The truth is, no one is perfect. And if you expect perfection from your partner, you're setting yourself up for a big disappointment. A successful marriage doesn't come from finding the one, it comes from working together as a team. You build a beautiful, lasting relationship by supporting each other through the highs and the lows, not waiting for some mythical, perfect match. And like I tell my kids all the time, you have to build a strong foundation, and definitely based on love, communication, and mutual respect. You will hear me mention these things throughout this book because without that, that is your basic foundation for a strong, successful marriage. Now, the next myth. This next one is love conquers all. If only it were that simple. Love is amazing, yes, but it's not a magical cure all. A strong marriage needs more than just love, it needs communication, trust, and respect. You have to put in the work. Love alone isn't enough to overcome poor communication, trust issues, or fundamental differences in values. So while love is an essential ingredient, it's not the only ingredient. So make sure you're cultivating communication and trust in your relationship too. Myth number 5. So here's a myth that you can really trip people up. Marriage should be full of sparks and passion forever. Well, that sounds dreamy, right? But reality is that passion evolves. At the beginning of your relationship, everything is new and it's exciting and it seems like it's just perfect. And you feel those butterflies constantly. But over time, that fiery passion, it turns into something deeper. A bond that is based on trust, shared experiences, and true companionship. So don't worry about the butterflies that are going to fade. Just concentrate on building that strong relationship. Okay? So, myth number 6. Marriage will dissolve all your problems. Well, wouldn't that be nice? That is another common myth that magic is just going to magically solve every issue that you have. Spoiler alert. No, it will not. Okay, so if you're dealing with insecurities, trust issues, or other personal challenges, you've got to address those before you walk down the aisle. Marriage isn't a cure for your personal struggles. It's a partnership where both people are responsible for their own growth and well being. It's true that we all come into relationships with baggage, whether that's childhood trauma, past relationship, exes. Those issues are not just going to go away. Some of these things we have to individually work on ourselves before we can get into a marriage. And that is why we wrote this book, to see what is it that we need to work on so we can love ourselves and we can be happy on our own before we include somebody in a lifelong journey with us, because it's not their job to make us happy and to solve all of our problems. Myth number 7. You can change your spouse. Now, how many times have you heard that? You cannot change your spouse. I'm going to tell you, being married for 25 years, the one thing that I have noticed my husband despises is when women talk about, oh, I have trained him. Oh, you can train a man. Don't ever say that to your man. Don't ever talk like that, period. You cannot train anyone. Um, yeah, let me tell you, that's a recipe for disaster. People change, yes, but only if they want to. You can't enter a marriage thinking, oh, I'll just fix this and I'll just fix that about them. No, the only person you can change is yourself. That's the only person you should ever try to change in any marriage or any relationship, really. So if there are things about your partner that you don't like or you can't live with, then you need to address those issues now. Don't walk into a lifelong commitment expecting this great transformation because you can't live with the things that they say and things that they do. That is not going to change. You have to be willing to live with those things that you don't like forever. Myth number 8: constant grand gestures are necessary. Well, now, who doesn't love a beautiful surprise? I know I do. I love surprises. But real love isn't about those huge moments all the time. It's about the small, everyday acts of kindness, thoughtfulness, and love. It's the simple things like making each other laugh, sharing a meal together, or just having meaningful conversations that build a strong marriage. Those grand gestures are fun, but they're not what holds your marriage together. And once you get married and you have children, you'll find that, you know what, your husband just taking some 30 minutes out to go play with the kids and tell you, hey, go take a bubble bath. You will love that. Would be a grand gesture in your eyes. Trust me, you're going to love things like that. It doesn't have to be, a prince and a princess in a palace. And no, real life has just needs those little small gestures that add up and make a huge difference between building a strong relationship. Myth number 9: conflict means that you have a bad marriage. So let's talk about conflict. Okay. So no, conflict is normal. It's not it's how you handle the conflict that matters. It's not whether or not you have conflict, but how you handle it. Every couple is going to have disagreements, but the key is working through them together in a healthy way. The goal isn't to avoid the conflict. You can't just say, oh, we're not talking about it. I don't want to talk about it. No, you have to talk about it. Whether you want to talk about it now or if you want to talk about it later, that's fine. But learn to communicate and resolve whatever issues you have effectively. So, last but not least, let's debunk the myth that marriage will complete you. If you're walking into a marriage expecting your partner to fulfill your emotional needs, you're putting too much pressure on them and your relationship. You need to be complete on your own first, and your partner should also be complete on their own and should only be adding to your happiness and not responsible for making you happy. And you are not responsible for making your partner happy either. You guys should just be adding to each other's happiness. Okay? You shouldn't be the sole source of their happiness. So, just some closing thoughts that I have for you. Those are the biggest myths about marriage that we tackled in chapter 1 of my book. So if you want to have a successful, long-lasting marriage, it's so important to start with realistic expectations. Remember that marriage is about teamwork, effort, and embracing each other's imperfections, because none of us are perfect. And in the next episode, we'll dive deeper into how to lay a strong foundation for communication in your marriage. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss it. Click on it so every time I have a new video, you will be notified. So we will tackle chapter 2 for next week. And I will see you guys in my next video. So before I go, don't forget to check out my music especially my marriage album, which is linked below. Thank you so much for joining me today. I cannot wait to continue this journey with you. And until next time, remember, you're going to have to pass that test before you walk down the aisle. Bye, guys. Stay fabulous.
Thank you for watching my channel. Go with the flow 504. If you like my content, please subscribe, like my videos, and hit the notification button so you don't miss any future videos. Stay fabulous and have a fabulous day.